person or a bad person and you become a police officer. I think most people who become cops, most people who become teachers, most people who become whatever they become are good people. I think most people are good folks, just in general. I think most people don't wake up wanting to hurt other people, but here's the problem. If you have a job that involves enforcing the law in a society where the law is the problem, right? Let me repeat. If you have a job to enforce the law in a society where the law itself is the problem, that is to say segregation as a law, enslavement as a law, indigenous removal as a law, right? The dislocation and dispossession of Latinx peoples from their land, where that's a law, where Japanese internment is a law, right? Then the people whose job is to enforce that law by definition are agents of injustice. That's not about hating police. That's just obvious, right? If you are the enforcer of the system and the system is the problem, then you are part of the problem. If you want to be part of the solution, you got to flip that system. Right? You can't stand at the end of the conveyor belt in the factory marked sausage factory and be shocked when all the stuff it sends you is sausage. If you're sitting down there and you're like, where the hell are my chicken nuggets? You clearly did not read the sign, yo. It said it was about sausage. So you probably ought to understand the system is contributing and producing exactly what it was intended to produce, right? And if you understand the history, that doesn't sound radical. It just sounds obvious, right? But if you don't know that history, it seems absurd. So you got to understand the past to understand the present. That's the point. But it's not just with regard to policing, right? It's with regard to just any inequities that you see. And I think about this not as an educator, not as a writer, not as a scholar, activist, or anything. I think about this as a dad, right? Because like I said, I got these two girls, they're 15 and 13. And, you know, when you're a parent, you always sort of pay real close attention to how your kids learn stuff, right? And you can see, like, when the light bulb goes on over their head, and it's sort of a really amazing moment because you're like, oh, my God, they just figured out something, and sort of cool, and, you know, you try to commit that to memory. All right, so a couple years ago, I'm driving with my girls to their dance studio. They're dancers, and we were leaving their school to drive to the studio, about 8 minutes on surface streets in Nashville, Tennessee, from their school to the downtown studio, where they were both in the company. And it's a drive we've made every day, virtually every day for like a year and a half during the week and once on weekends. So we're used to this drive, but on this particular day, something different happened. We get stopped at a red light. And that red light happens to be in the middle of public housing, right? Both sides of the street, public housing apartments, or what we refer to in this country as projects, right? And the 10-year-old daughter, whose name is Rachel, sitting in the back seat, looks around, and I'm sure she had recognized the racial demographic of that neighborhood before.